Excuse you! Listen, I know you think you got this long party weekend going because the 4th of July fell on a Thursday, and so you just wrote Friday off, and now we're here Saturday morning. You've pretty much probably been drinking straight for 2 days, and here your Uncle
3
Dave.
days. It started Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
You think these bums are starting on the 3rd and not even the 4th?
We did.
That's your Uncle Dave.
That's your Uncle Kev. We've been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Welcome to the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0, your Saturday morning hangover cure. Taping here on July the 2nd. This will drop, of course, the morning of July the 6th. After all the damage has been done. The kegs have been drained. The bottles have been emptied.
Hopefully you still have all fingers, toes, eyes, nose, ears.
Yes. Don't pull a Jason Pierre-Paul. We don't want that.
Do never light fireworks off the top of your head.
But this is all past news, old news. As we're here on the 6th with you, if you've got a bandage wrapped around your hand, nothing we can do about it now. Hopefully you're getting the best medical attention that your paltry paycheck can buy. But what we're here to do is to make you feel better when it comes to pop culture. We're here to make you feel better about music, movies, TV, and streaming. And then, of course, at the end, we will list off people who are even dumber than you and select the Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week.
Because Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, is your politically incorrect pop culture extravaganza.
So, we will admit,
it's a little light this week.
Yeah, especially with music. We are kind of gearing up for concert season to kick in. And there aren't a lot of new album releases, so we're kind of doing what we can with music. Even though, of course, we will always start off with rock and roll. Now, we were a little bit neglectful. I was a little bit neglectful in that I kind of knew this album was coming out. The songs were out. Didn't really go nutsy cuckoo crazy about saying, hey, Dave, do you want to listen to some Mr. Big?
Said nobody ever. They're okay.
Yeah, they're one of those lower tier, late 80s, early 90s bands that...
Yeah, I got to see them probably at the height of their popularity in like 91, probably, when they opened for Rush on the Roll the Bones tour.
Really?
Yep. Don't ask.
That doesn't seem like...
I didn't put it together.
Well, I know. We've seen Van Halen, and they always have some very bizarre opening acts. So, and we did see lead singer Eric Martin here.
Yes.
Opened recently a few years back for Warrant.
Yep.
Where he played a lot of Mr. Big's big hits.
So
they're on their farewell tour. But they're putting out what I assume is their final album. I don't know. Maybe they will continue to record together, but
and
just not
tour. Who knows?
But their 10th album, appropriately, fittingly titled 10.
Yeah, I think I might have listened to 2 of the previous ones.
What is their big one? Lean Into It is their big album that everybody, they're going to play it in their entirety. Yay. There are a couple songs that I am not a To Be With You guy.
No.
Sorry, I know that's their big monster hit, but that's not a song that I will ever gravitate towards.
No.
It's not bad. It's not as bad as Open Arms or Can't Fight This Feeling.
Just one of the weaker ballads out there.
Yeah, but they've got a couple other songs that are good.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the first 2 singles from their upcoming album, 10. First single is Good Luck Trying, and then recently they released the second single, Up On You. So Dave and I are going to break down these two songs for you in possible maybe anticipation, since again things are slow, of maybe reviewing 10 in 2 or 3 weeks.
If we're desperate.
Well, I will say this.
It's got potential.
I will say that I did not find anything abhorrent about these two songs.
No. No, they were not egregious like some of the stuff that we've heard of late.
Yep. So the first single, which I believe you and I both agree is better,
Yes.
is Good Luck Trying. Now, they make one, I think it's a very solid song. I think it's a very catchy song. If you listen to the lyrics, it's very appropriate for this day and age as it's about money problems.
Yeah, they give it a bluesy little feel to it. I wonder what Miles Kennedy could have done with this one.
Ooh, that's an interesting thought.
Because the way it entered with the riff and the vocals at the beginning, I'm like, ooh, this could be a Miles song.
Yeah,
Initially, my first reaction.
The one thing that drove me crazy is I think it could have been a better, cleaner song. For some reason, they decide as they go through the chorus, which should be extremely catchy. But when they get to the last line, which is the song title, Good Luck Trying, they step all over it.
Yeah, you get the good luck, and then they start right in with the next verse.
Well, they stick in another line.
Yeah.
Not necessarily another verse, but they just stick in another line and kind of step over their own vocals, and it destroys the entire flow of the chorus.
Yeah,
and that drives me crazy.
It's like somebody hiccuping in the middle of the song.
Yes. Yeah, it's just really irritating because there's one time through the course of the song where they let the chorus flow exactly as it should.
And it's at the end.
Right towards the end. Yeah, and it sounds great, and I wish they had done that. Sometimes it's the old Kiss theory. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't overproduce. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it.
Just let it rock.
So I think, for me personally, that being the idiosyncratic bastard that I am, that keeps a song from being very, very good to just good. I will give Good Luck Trying, I'll give it a strong 2.5. I think if it wasn't for that one little faux pas, I would have given it 3.
Yeah, it's a strong 2.5, borderline 3.
Right. Yep. Now, I think the second single, I think I'm going to end up liking more than you. Now, I still think Good Luck Trying is better, but I think it's closer than you probably do.
Not necessarily. I'm trying to get over the intro where all I hear is "Addicted to Love."
Now, I will not say that Up On You is anything in terms of, it's not earth-shattering. This is a straight-on, straight-ahead rocker.
It is. It's catchy. It's got some good stuff to it, some good guitar riffs going on in there.
Paul Gilbert's guitar is probably the highlight. He's got some really strong riffs in there.
And this is kind of a throwback to some 70s rock, almost, to me.
Yeah, it is a throwback. I will give you that. I don't know if I'd go all the way back to the 70s, but it definitely, this sounds more like a, hey, let's go back in the rock and roll DeLorean.
Let's go back to our heyday. Early 80s. Even I think this is before their big stuff.
But it's straightforward, right? Just straight on rock and roll, nothing fancy, nothing over the top. See, this is where the Kiss theory works.
Yes.
They kept it simple, put in, again, Paul Gilbert, great guitar. So I will also give this one a strong 2.5.
This is a very strong 2.5.
So that's why I'm intrigued to see how the rest of the album plays out.
Yeah. It's got a decent start to it.
Yes. Now, Dave let us down.
Yeah, I did not get to it. It was an uber busy weekend.
He's been busy putting up the Ferris wheel. in his backyard.
There's no damn Ferris wheel.
And
I
putting
hate
up
Ferris wheels.
Stonehenge replica monuments. So he didn't get a chance to watch.
It was a busy weekend, birthday parties and whatnot going on.
Don't worry, I've
You've
got the
us
kids covered. Of course, on Netflix, the documentary Nickelback, Hate to Love. Now, I'll admit, coming off the 5-hour debacle of Bon Jovi on Hulu, thank you, good night, I'm a little jaded. I'm a little bitter about these documentaries. I like the Beach Boys one on Disney. I will probably take this Nickelback one and put it somewhere in the middle. The one problem that all three of these, the three that we have reviewed recently, or I have.
Yeah. The documentarian that you are.
Yes. I do like a good nonfiction movie once in a while. Because sometimes, as they say, truth is stranger than fiction. But not in the case of these three goddamn movies. Why? Because these are documentaries that are sugar-coated, approved by the band. In all three cases, do not delve into controversy, tawdry details at all.
And that's no fun. Come on.
No, and again, I'm not looking for straight-on dirt for 90 minutes, but at the same time, otherwise,
I don't need a kumbaya show.
Well, it feels like a commercial for the band, is what it feels like in all three instances. Now, Nickelback, Hate to Love is a little bit better than the Bon Jovi one because, number one, it's a hell of a lot shorter. And of course, Dave and I will always stand by Nickelback. We are two of the people out there that say, why the fuck do you hate Nickelback when your band sucks 10 times worse? Never understood the hatred for Nickelback. Yes, occasionally they'll put out the cheesy ballad.
Everybody does.
But, just like I mentioned with Mr. Big, never goes down into the depths, the negative, terrible territory of the all-time worst, like Styx's Babe and that kind of dreck.
Or Aerosmith's Alicia Silverstone trilogy.
Yep. Now, I will say this Nickelback Hate to Love, again on Netflix right now, starts out interesting. I thought that maybe with the first 20, 25 minutes, we were going to get a little bit of a more honest, darker view of the band because they start in with growing up and the family dynamics and how one brother, because of course you got the two Kroger brothers in the band, how the one brother finds out that they have different fathers. The two brothers have different fathers, which they didn't know. Just kind of comes up one day. Hell of a way to find out.
What, mom's serving breakfast and goes, oh, by the way?
Pretty close. It was a casual conversation where it came up.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, maybe we're going to get a little more, a little bit more of the soap opera type details of what's going on behind the scenes. And that, unfortunately, is about it. And then it kind of becomes a little bit more milquetoast, and we get very little discussion of Chad Kroger's throat problems, whereas with Bon Jovi we had to deal with it for 5 hours on and off. We get about 5 minutes discussion of it, and we never get a lot of detail about how he recovered, what he went through.
Come on, that's a huge piece of the puzzle.
We get about 30 seconds of Chad Kroger discussing his marriage to Avril Lavigne. Yeah, they don't get a lot into their personal lives unless it's all the sunny, happy stuff. So, Ryan Peake, I believe, is the third member. You've got the three core members, the Kroger brothers, Ryan Peake, and then the drummers have kind of come in and out, but they have finally got a stable drummer now who they got from Three Doors Down. Um, and he had a health issue as well, which I would have liked more detail on, but they just kind of gloss over it. They tell you he had an issue where the entire right side of his body wasn't functioning.
Oh, good Lord.
And then they just kind of go, yeah, we'll stick with him through thick and thin. And then boom, it's gone. No detail of what he went through, what kind of treatment.
Partial paralysis?
Yeah,
Was it a
stroke.
pinched nerve? Was it Bell's palsy? Was it.
Yeah. They mention what it is, and I won't, it just sounds like another one of those made up diseases. Not like the ones the actual legitimate ones like you just rattled off. But that's the kind of stuff that this documentary does, just like the other ones, where stop giving us these 90-minute or 2 hour or 5 hour public relations promos for the band and give us the actual story of what happened behind the scenes, the good, the bad, the ugly. I am so tired of the namby-pamby. Well, we're not going to talk. Chad Kroeger comes off as a nice guy, but an enigma. He's the only one that doesn't seem to have any kind of a home life or a family life. Again, very 30-second talk about being married to Avril Lavigne. But
That was
otherwise, we don't know anything about him as a human being. We get a little more insight into some of the other guys in the band, but it's the same old, it's tough being on the road for so long and being away from your wife and your kids. Yes, we get it. It's the price you pay. It's the deal with the devil that
Yeah.
you make. You chose to make it. There's a little bit of interesting stuff about their early years going through Canada, of course. So it's a little better than the Bon Jovi. Not quite as good as the Beach Boys. I will give it a week, 2.5 frenzies. I
All
don't
right.
know if I can recommend it. Again, I was hoping for a little bit more of insight into Nickelback. They give you plenty of reasons to root for them, like we do, to say these guys are nice guys, they're good people. They come off sounding very intelligent. I will say that. The members of Nickelback, if you hate them, fine, but they come off sounding 15 times more intelligent than John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora. I'll tell you
That I
that.
can believe. I can believe that.
Especially Ryan Peake. The dude sounds ridiculously intelligent. I have a very big pet peeve with people who talk and like to go
Like,
and he will rattle off 3-4 straight minutes talking about the band. He's smart enough to know if I need to take a pause, I'll take a pause.
Yeah, silence is better than
And most of the band is like that. They are smart enough to understand. And that's why I get upset with people who bag on Nickelback.
There you go.
I just wish this movie would have given us a better picture of the band, warts and all. So again, week 2.5 for Nickelback, Hate to Love. So I would assume with that tepid review that Dave probably won't watch it.
Yeah, I like a little more in-depth stuff. I mean, I think we got better out of the Rush documentary from a few years back. Better from ZZ Top, that little old band from Texas. They
Yep.
went in how they started their trials and tribulations. Things like that where they do not hold back. They tell their struggles and how they came through.
Yep.
Just don't hold back.
No, you've got to at least let us in.
Yeah.
If you want us to really care about you as a band, to really trust you as a band, we need to know that you're like us. You
Yeah,
have
you're
issues, problems,
human.
you get depressed, you get sad, you have heartbreak in your life, you have tragedy in your life. Don't sugarcoat that stuff and just talk about, oh, they were the lean years where we really were driving around in a van and carrying our own equipment and playing for $40 a night. Okay, that's the standard cliche. Every
Yeah.
band has been through that.
Where's your Neil Peart driving from Canada down to the tip of South America and back on your motorcycle dealing with the death of your wife?
That's the kind of story we want to hear. Exactly. Well said, Dave. Now, before we wrap up music, I hate to end on a downer note, but news just broke today. Terrible, terrible news, and um, thoughts and prayers. Uh, wish only the best for Ann Wilson of Heart. They have had to cancel all of their remaining tour dates for 2024 as she has been diagnosed with cancer. Now, supposedly, they have done an operation where they have removed the issue, but she is going to have to go through chemo.
That the recovery is going to be brutal.
So they swear, Hart swears, Ann Wilson swears, even though I don't blame her. She says, this is it. This is the only update you're getting. I want privacy after this, please.
Good for her on that front.
But she swears she'll be back in 2025.
All right, here's
That's
hoping.
why they're not canceling all these dates.
Just
they're
postponing.
And of course, a lot of these are technically tricky because remember, they were going to go out for a handful of dates with the stadium tour with Def Leppard and Journey.
Right.
So
yeah,
they're not canceling those dates, but Hart won't be there. So you're just going to have to deal with it. Now, the remaining dates on the tour with Cheap Trick are the ones that they're going to reschedule sometime, hopefully in 2025.
Yeah.
But one of the greatest, if not the greatest, female rock and roll singer ever, right up there with Pat Benatar, Ann Wilson. Godspeed. Hope you get better quickly.
Yes.
Sports Frenzy is with you because you are awesome. Put on a great show when we saw you a few years back. Love that voice. Even now to this day, hearing the old late 70s Heart songs, her voice just, it's fantastic. It's sexy, it's strong, fierce, and it's clean, and that voice is just amazing.
Barracuda, Magic Man, come on.
Yep. Yeah, the Magic Man's got that sensuality, little component to it.
Yeah, the innocence.
Yep.
Yet
she could do it all. She could do it all with that voice. So again, our best well wishes to Ann Wilson of Heart, hoping for a speedy recovery from this mess with cancer. All right, so now we move on to movies.
Of course, you know we like to discuss that stuff here on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby!
Otherwise, of course, known as iHeartRadio. Don't forget to check out the Facebook page where you'll find a link to each and every episode. Just got to scroll down a lot, but they're all there. They are all there.
You have to get through all of our sports picks from our Thursday sports episode.
Yep. Yeah, we do 2 episodes a week, kids. Keep that in mind. Hardest working guys in podcasting. Maybe. Kind of.
Sort of.
All right, our movie review of the week. We're going back, I believe it's 2018.
Yes.
That we're going back to for this movie. Dave brought it up.
My youngest Nick suggested it. He goes, all right, here's one for you to review on the podcast from a few years back. Upgrade.
Yep, and I had always kind of wanted to watch it, and I just kind of always pushed it off to the side. It looked interesting. So, we finally got around to watching it.
Decent premise.
This movie, the thing that jumped out at me was this movie was born to be made in the early 70s.
Yes, yes, it
If
was.
they
It
di
had that full on feel to it.
Yep, this would have fit in right in with the likes of Soylent Green and Logan's Run and
Death
THX
Race
1138.
2000.
Yep, this would have been a perfect fit for that early mid 70s cheesy sci-fi horror genre.
That's the exact feel I had right from the get go.
Yep. Yeah, of course, now this has got a little bit slightly higher production values, but I would have liked to have seen it with those early 70s, little bit less technology, a
Yeah.
little bit more cheesy.
But
Um,
it was right that the acting was right on par with that time frame.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, especially the young inventor.
Oh my god, he was painful.
Yeah. But he would have fit in. That would have been
I
perfect for that era.
but he played the special scientist on the spectrum very well.
Yep. So we will not spoil. We never spoil. But the basic premise is it is in the future. Young man who tends to work on old school cars. If you want to think about it in the future,
Yep, self-driving cars are prevalent.
yes, but he's working on the old Trans Ams and Mustangs and that type of thing. And early on, we're giving a hint that something is amiss at work with his wife. Very brief, very,
Yeah,
very brief.
very brief. Where
Now,
then
is that a red herring? Or
or
is
is
that
it
what
not?
leads into what happens later? As
There's more going on with the event than you would initially think.
yes. So what it ends up being is early on, we find out there's a tragedy involving his wife, and the mechanic is mortally wounded but not killed.
Nope, he's turned into a quadriplegic.
Yeah. Again, this
Baseline of the story.
happens early on, so we're not spoiling. You gotta be able to give you a little bit
This
of the
this this
storyline.
sets up the premise.
Right. Or this is where your technology comes in as we're in the future, and he is given a chance to possibly live a full life, but will he take that and just be happy with that, or will he
Go for revenge.
against the people who hurt him and killed his wife? And then why did they come after the
Him and his
couple?
wife.
They did
Hmm.
a good job with that. They
They
really did.
did. That was well done.
um and you get the, let's just say this, you're not going to get a sunny happy ending.
No. And that I kind of like that the most of the
Oh, I
movie.
always like the downer endings, always like the downer endings,
Yeah.
because
That it was
yeah,
it was apropos for this
unless it's a
movie.
Tom Hanks Meg Ryan movie, I don't need a sunny upbeat ending. Reality, let's
Yeah.
let's deal in
This this
reality
is
here.
this is a sci-fi reality ending, kids.
Now I will say this,
I had
there's something missing in it though. It in many ways it does seem like a recycled leftover from the 70s. I don't know if there's all that much original and new in this story.
no, I liked the bad guys enhancements. Those were pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or achoo.
That was it. I wish they would have done more with that.
Yeah. That I would have liked a little more background to the sneeze.
Yeah. Again, a missed opportunity.
Yes.
Like you said, the acting was what you would expect. Um, I'm not trying to denigrate it. I know I've shifted from sounding like I was going to praise it beyond belief to not liking it. So obviously I'm in the middle on that.
Yeah.
Um, I would give upgrade. I would give it a very marginal recommendation, especially if you're a fan of, as we've talked about, that 70s era sci-fi thriller movie, horror, a little bit of horror in there.
Yeah.
Um, I'll give it a strong 2.5 frenzies.
Yeah, that's right where it belongs. It's worth watching.
Yep,
It's nothing to write home about, but it's comfort sci-fi.
yep, yeah. So my movie instincts, I think they came through on this one where it was something was saying
Hold back,
it's worth
hold back.
watching, but fit it in when you can.
Yeah,
Don't go nutsy cuckoo crazy trying to run out and watch it the first chance you can.
yeah.
There are other better things out there.
There are, but at some point it's worth getting to.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, next week is going to be kind of weird. We've already mentioned the fact that music is looking very sparse. And your Uncle Dave won't be here.
No, I have family commitments coming up.
So you're going to be stuck with me. Now, I've got a lot of good stuff when it comes to movie and TV reviews next week, but I'll have to dial it down a little bit. Well, I guess I don't have to because you won't be here.
Right.
So I'm not going to spoil anything for
Right.
you.
That'll be
And then you
fine.
come in the week after and catch up.
Yeah, we can do that.
But of course, this is a big week for movies out there on streaming. So now,
Good Lord, this weekend as you're listening to this, you damn well better be watching Axel F.
yep, debuting this past Wednesday as you're listening to this, July the 3rd, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F on Netflix. Highly, long time anticipated.
Yes.
The next installment in the Beverly Hills Cop
And I'm
series.
liking the trailers where it looks like everybody they could possibly get to come back does.
And then news broke today on July the 2nd as we tape that The Beekeeper, starring Jason Statham, has just hit Prime Video.
Yeah, baby.
So I will have both those reviews for you next week.
And I will catch up in 2.
Now, if you're interested in trailers, and we like to talk about trailers, one interesting trailer dropped this week, the latest trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine, which happens to bring in a classic villain.
That would be, should we let the kids
Well,
know? It's out
it's
there.
been out there.
Sabretooth.
Yes.
Oh my god, that scene looks fantastic.
Yep. And they actually brought in the actor. Now, we're not talking about Liev Schreiber,
No.
but we're talking about Tyler Mane, who played Sabretooth. I believe in the X-Men movies.
Yes.
Not in the Wolverine
Not in the
movies,
Wolverine.
but
That
in
was
the X-Men movies,
yeah.
I believe. But yes, very. And then the pep talk Deadpool gives to Wolverine, going
Oh my
into battle
God.
with Sabretooth, pulling out the swords, going, "You look terrible. Let me take care of this for
those.
you."
Oh, that's not going to help you being
Yeah.
there.
And of course, those two idiots, both basically invulnerable.
Yeah. Go figure.
Oh, I cannot wait for that one. Cannot wait for that one.
I did see the trailer for Red 1.
What'd you think?
I'm intrigued. It has potential.
Could you figure out what Dwayne Johnson's character is outside of a bodyguard for Santa?
I think that's all he is the bodyguard and trainer.
I've heard people speculating that they think they've already figured the plot out based on the trailer, where they think Santa's the one behind his own kidnapping. So,
Well, we'll wait and see.
that's not a spoiler. I don't know. I'm
We
just
don't
telling
know.
you what
Hey,
the speculation is based on the
It's
trailer.
J.K. Simmons. He plays J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Mans. God knows what he's thinking. I mean, he's Matt the Bat for crying out loud.
So, there you go, kids. There's your movie news for the week. Let's move on to TV and streaming. And of course, our weekly update on The Boys.
Wow. Let's go to the farm, shall we?
This is, of course, episode 5 of season 4. Episode 6 probably is already out there for you, but we're going back to last Thursday's drop. Yes, I thought they should have named the episode The Funny Farm.
They should have, because damn, that was whack.
But it was, I think, by far, in a way, the best episode of the season so far.
Absolutely.
You get a lot of resolution to storylines, some new storylines popping up that look very intriguing. You get a little bit of the Gen V cast coming in.
Start popping in. God. Homelander's just nuts on every level.
But now he's starting to, after we thought that maybe his son was pulling back, now he's found a way to bring him in, and how he's looking like he's going to embrace that dark side.
Potentially, yeah. Homelander, in his own twisted mind, came to accept who he is and has made the connection with his son.
And meanwhile, Bill the Butcher has connected with his old friend Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and they have their own little plot going to finally end the Soups once and for all.
Yep, they've learned the secret. And then, poor Huey.
Yep.
Finally have a resolution with his dad. If you're watching, you know the storyline.
And it's what they do in episode 5. It is a very intense, very brutal resolution.
It's rough.
It's
rough.
We're used to very graphic violence and even sometimes some sexual stuff with the boys.
This is just real life, heart-wrenching reality.
Well, along with some
violent,
gore.
disgusting gore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we still got, what's Sister Sage up to? I would still like to sleep with Firecracker. I mean,
the trailer park Firecracker.
Yikes. Yikes. That body does not stop. Light my fuse. And I swear I've seen her in other stuff, but I looked it up, and
she's got one of those.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think she's got one of those faces that.
Yeah.
Wonderful teeth. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. But you got all those different storylines going. So finally, I thought up to this point the season was a little slow, a little sluggish. Now I think it's finally
ramping up. And what the hell is Frenchie doing?
He's riddled with guilt. He's absolutely, completely riddled with guilt, and he can't get over it.
Yeah, and that was going to the extreme at the end.
Yep. So 3 more episodes left before we have to bid adieu to the boys.
Not fair.
Again, these short seasons.
Come on, Kripke, pull your head out of your ass and keep it rolling.
These short seasons absolutely suck.
Yeah.
Because you're done with them like that.
And imagine, at least this one is dropping weekly.
Right, to keep me against my worst instincts, which we'll get to in a second with that 90s show. But now I did hear, obviously they're filming the final season of Stranger Things.
Oh, so it can finally drop in 2028?
Well, at least they say that one of the cast members mentioned that every episode is going to be a lot like the last season, where every episode's an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. She basically said, you're looking at 8 movies is what you're looking at for the final season.
Oh, good Lord.
So at least
maybe we'll get it by 2030.
Goddamn strike. Fucking strike. And they're going to keep using it as an excuse for how long?
It's bullshit.
Oh, but Inside Out 2 is doing wonderfully.
Who cares?
I'm so sick. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sick of kids' movies. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Every 3 weeks, we got to have a kids' movie because parents don't understand they can take their children to a park or take them on a vacation. No, the easiest thing to do,
Let's
take
go
them to a
watch
movie.
where we don't have to talk to them or interact with them. How about you actually have fun? Hey, institute a weekly family game night. Let me tell you, it's a blast.
Yeah, I am proud to say I don't think we overdid it with my daughter in terms of taking her to the movies. I think we tried to balance it out fairly well. Now,
Yeah.
once she got old enough to watch more adult content, not that, you dirty, filthy people. I still remember her mom yelling at me when we watched The Dark Knight when she was maybe 14 and
Oh, come on!
Batman caught on fire and she ran, "You turn this off. This is awful. She shouldn't see Batman burning
She's
up."
14 damn years old, for crying out loud.
Like, whatever.
I watched worse at 9.
Well, you and I both did. Yeah, I mean, that's we lived for that kind of stuff.
Good Lord. I think I watched James Bond for the first time when I was 5.
Shit. I remember I would have been about 15, 14, 15, getting my mom to buy me a ticket so I could see Friday the 13th part 2.
There you go.
You know, right after the doctor said he's allergic to chocolate. And I said, fuck that. I said, Mom, drop me off at the theater. And I spent like all my allowance for the past 2 months loaded up on M&Ms and Goobers and Snow Caps. I had
Milk Duds.
Yeah, I'm sitting there shoveling that crap in my face while I've got decapitations happening on the screen. The glorious moment in my upbringing. It made me the man I am today. I got a tear in my eye. Or is that a drop of blood?
Who knows? Ugh.
But then again, Dave, of course, constructing, his own statue of Michelangelo and Venus in the backyard, so he didn't have time to watch that 90s show, part 2 on Netflix.
Nope, too much going on. I got to slow things down a little.
Now,
no, I'm not. I'm not going to be a recluse and sit there all day.
No. Because we have seen what happens when you turn 60. We have seen it firsthand on multiple occasions with multiple people. For the most part, not everybody.
Not everybody, but we've seen enough examples. I am not slowing down.
No, that's why we keep going to concerts.
That's why I keep active, why I'm always doing yard work and creating different things and
that too.
Building.
But I always go to concerts. So while Dave was again busy constructing a castle in his backyard, complete with a moat and parapets and all that crap.
No, not that. The boys are wanting to put in a moat.
Of course they are. Too bad the climate isn't conducive to alligators.
I know.
But I did watch that 90s show part 2, all 8 episodes, because again, I cannot show self-restraint with this stuff. As you mentioned with the boys, I love the fact that they just parcel out one a week. It keeps me away from my own deeper, darker impulses. But of course, Netflix doesn't do that. So they dropped all 8 episodes and I had them polished off in a little less than 3 days.
There you go. See, now you have time to jump in. Oh, wait, you don't have Max right now, do you? Never mind.
What are you thinking of?
I was going to say knock out Big Bang Theory.
I don't want to watch the Big Bang Theory. Stop it. Stop. Don't push that on me. I don't want to watch that. There are plenty of... I'd rather go back and watch Married with Children from the beginning. Okay, that's more my speed. I don't want to watch... Just because I think I might fantasize about Kaylee Cuoco once in a while.
It's actually funnier than I ever gave it
Her
credit
coming up to
for.
me in my dreams and saying, "I work for Priceline. Do you want to take a trip with me and join the Mile High Club?" Say, "Why, yes, Miss Cuoco, yes, I would."
There you go. No, it's raunchier than I ever would have imagined.
Yeah, just no. I got plenty of other.
There you go.
I got plenty of
I'll
other.
enjoy it, and you
I'm
go
looking
do
over at
your
my stuff.
thing.
Sons of Anarchy. I'd like to watch Sons of Anarchy from start to finish. I never did that. I'd like to rewatch The Wire. One of the greatest shows ever made.
Well, there you go.
I don't need to see. I just don't like Sheldon. I don't like him. I don't. Sorry.
The other characters make up for it.
Whatever. Anyway, that 90s show, part 2. And again, I think this should be season 2.
Not
But no,
part
now
2.
they're starting.
It's season 2 because it's a whole different summer.
So I'm sure that's why they're saying part 2 and part 3 is because when we get back in October for another 8 episodes, it will still be the same summer.
Bull crap.
But very fun, same as season 1. Season 1, whatever. Not part 1, season 1.
We'll call it what we want, damn it.
Very, very fun. Of course, I've already mentioned this. Bob Pinciotti moves in across the street. So Bob's in.
Well, at least the street gives more of a buffer than the driveway next door.
There is a brief interlude, I would say probably half of, maybe, I'm just guessing here, half of episode 4 into the first half of episode 5, right in there, kind of in the middle, where they start to lean into going checkbox, where I was getting a little upset with them.
Oh, no.
Now, luckily, they back off on it fairly quickly. Couple minutes here with this socially conscious woke statement, and then a couple minutes here with the same thing for another character, and then they're over it and done with it. So at least they didn't drag it out.
Minimal.
Yes, it is minimal.
Did it actually have a bearing on the story, or was it thrown in?
One was thrown in, one had a bearing on the story.
Okay. There you go.
But again, very minimal, but I still didn't like it. We've already accepted the fact that we were fine with the fact we knew going in after the first couple episodes we have a gay character. And I like him. He's funnier than hell. Very funny. Very snarky. Willing to cut down anybody and everybody for being an idiot. So, fine, but they wanted to expand on that a little bit. And that's the one where they really didn't have to. At least where they went with it.
Yeah.
The other one, okay. You want to make it a commentary on
whatever.
Yes. Crime and race. Fine. But beyond that, you get all the great guest stars that were all teased in the promos that we've seen the last few months.
Beautiful.
I will say this. You'll be very, very happy with the cliffhanger ending at the end of episode 8. Because, of course, it features the guest stars that we've been waiting for. That we knew were coming. So, yeah, they're going to be around for the October episodes as well, it looks like.
Lovely.
At least the beginning.
Nice.
And, of course, we're talking about Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes, Jay and Silent Bob.
Snooty Boochies.
Yep. So, just get a little tease. So, again, they'll be back for the fall. So, very, 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 very solid 3 frenzies for part 2, season 2, whatever we're going to fucking call it, of that 90s show. And again, I should have showed more restraint and should have enjoyed it more instead of
blowing through the whole damn thing.
Yep.
See, now you can just rewatch season 1 and season 2 back to back and
It's
enjoy
just like
it.
putting an entire package of Chips Ahoy cookies in front of me and saying, only eat 3, Kev. Ha! Ha!
Lay's potato chips, but you can't just eat one.
Yeah, same type of philosophy behind that. Yeah, it ain't gonna, that package is going to be emptied and gone. Especially if I got a nice cold glass of milk to go with it. But yeah, very solid 3 frenzies. Did not let me down outside of what I just mentioned briefly.
All right, I am looking forward to it.
And I will say, and we said this, I think, back when we reviewed the first season, they did a great job with the young cast. Definitely different than the original teenagers, but still
different, but the same.
You still got the Kelso connection, the Foreman connection.
Yeah, it's teen angst at its best.
And you don't, that's the sad thing. I think we knew this was coming. But you don't get all the guest stars from that 70s show appearing this time around.
Right. And you wouldn't expect to. You wanted them for the first season to hook everybody in and establish the new cast.
Yeah. Now you get a couple. You get a couple outside of Bob. There are a couple. But definitely not as many or as prevalent or important as what we got, in season 1 with Eric and Kelso and Jackie and Fez, So let us move on.
As we always do.
To moments of silence. All right, moments of silence. Now, I will admit, I know I did this in the sports edition this week, and people probably hate me because I said, okay, Dick Vitale has got cancer again for the 75th time this century. We all want him to get better. Nobody in their right mind wants somebody with cancer to suffer. But now in this case, somebody died, but it's somebody that I just don't understand the appeal of. I never understood the appeal. It was one of those comedians who just got a lot more praise from the media than I think he got from. Well, I don't know anybody who ever, when they think about great comedians, says, "Oh yeah, Martin Mull." And you look back at the highlights of his career, and I go,
really?
Fernwood Tonight, Roseanne, really? This is his career, and
what was his big thing in the 70s?
Wasn't that Fernwood Tonight?
Was that? No, I thought it was something else.
He wasn't in Mary Hartman, was he?
Maybe. He's always one of those that are just like, okay, he's there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I never understood why
the grand appeal of him.
The legendary Martin Mull. I just didn't do anything for me. Sorry, I'm not trying to denigrate the fact the man passed away.
No. Thoughts and prayers to his family and friends. But he's one of those that the critics loved and maybe everybody else was okay.
Yeah. Just didn't get it. Just didn't get the appeal.
Another one of those was Kinky Friedman. Pseudo singer, supposed humorist, author, provocateur, whatever. Again, he was there. Thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
And then somebody who, and this is the thing, we're talking about with Martin Mull and Kinky Friedman, two recognizable names, where we're kind of going, okay.
Whereas we'll take Bill Cobbs, one of those character actors who's been in numerous movies. He's one of those where you may not recognize the name, but when you see him with the name, you go, oh, that guy.
Yep. Or Peter Collins. Most people wouldn't know who Peter Collins is, but music fans should and would. Peter Collins produced 4 Rush albums, starting with Power Windows. Sorry.
Power Windows.
Power Windows was the first of 4 consecutive Rush albums he produced, along with Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche and Hey Stupid by Alice Cooper. See, that to me is more significant.
Yes.
It's all a matter of perspective, kids. All a matter of perspective.
But thoughts and prayers to everybody's family and friends.
Yes, we're not.
Regardless.
I'm not that much of a dick, or I'm not trying to denigrate the fact that these people passed away. I'm sorry. We're just calling it like we see it in terms of their cultural impact.
Or lack thereof.
One last thing I need to go back to before we hit the Red Foreman dumbasses of the week. This could be a borderline dumbass move, but remember, I believe it was last week when we were talking about how Paramount Plus and Max could be on the verge of
Collapse.
major issues. Yes, collapse.
For want of a better word.
Paramount continues to prove that point this past week as they purged online all their websites. They purged all the online archives. So tvland.com, mtvnews.com, cmt.com, comedycentral.com, all old content gone.
Wow.
Yep. Now, I read today that somebody got a hold of the archives for MTV News and have them posted somewhere else. But so you can't go watch old TV shows on tvland.com anymore. You can't, I guess, watch old music videos or old shows on CMT, and you can't go watch old comedy shows on Comedy Central anymore. They have purged all of their online archives. So
that's pathetic.
If that does not tell you there are issues and problems, of course, somebody somewhere looks like is going to buy Paramount, but that's been going on for months, and they still can't find a buyer.
Well, not if they're doing shit like that.
Well, that's the thing. We've talked about Max, and now Paramount's doing this kind of stuff. Who's running these companies?
Idiots and morons. Venture capitalists.
Taking tax write-offs instead of putting out the content.
Venture capitalists.
Yep.
Who don't give a shit about anything.
I will be shocked if Max and Paramount Plus are around at the end of 2025. I'll give them till then. And they're going to have to make some major changes because they don't have content. And we talked last week about Max and how they're somehow shifting all the content to HBO again, which makes
zero sense.
And now Paramount pulling this move. And it's just not worth it for 1 or 2 movies every 6 months.
Yeah, no.
Because you and I were talking about Max on the 4th of July, the Godzilla and Kong new movies out there. But I'm not going to pay $10 a month just so I can watch that. It's not worth it. All right. We have 6. And I bragged this up. I bragged this up on the Sports Edition when we were doing a preview.
Yes, you did.
I bragged this up. I said, I have got 6 stellar dumbasses. It's going to be a difficult choice for your Uncle Dave this week.
I may have to take notes.
Let's start off with a UFO sighting. News came out here recently that 12 employees at Red Rocks, the legendary amphitheater, they report seeing a UFO hovering above the concert facility for 30 seconds before taking off at a slow speed of 5 to 10 miles an hour. But Dave, in this day and age where people grab their phones and record everything and anything at the slightest provocation,
There's
none of these 12 people filmed anything. None of these 12 filmed anything. So we're supposed to take their word. Was one of them, well, they're employees, I was going to say, was one of them Aaron Rodgers on ayahuasca?
Yeah.
So yeah, 12 employees at Red Rocks Amphitheater report seeing a UFO. And I do believe pot is legal in Colorado, so that might explain it.
Probably mixed in with a little LSD.
And again, hovered for 30 seconds, left at a very slow speed, but nobody thought to pull out their phones and record this.
Right.
Okay, moving on. If it's done well, there's nothing wrong with a good rock and roll biopic, right?
Right.
Bohemian Rhapsody, great movie. Rocket Man wasn't bad. Elvis, You know, we've had what? We've had James Brown in recent years, Whitney Houston, Amy Winehouse, to varying degrees and effects and quality.
Yeah.
We've gone too far.
Oh, no.
Coming in the summer of 2025, we are going to get an Air Supply biopic.
Oh, for the love of God!
Yes, it's already getting set up for production. Again.
Why?
Coming to theaters in summer of 2025.
They were popular for what, 2 years?
Oh, Dave, I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you.
Oh, sweet God almighty.
Dave, don't rub your head. There's nothing up there.
I know, this is why. It's shit like this since I'm bald.
All right. Well, I hate to do it, but this one stood out. I hate to get into politics real quick, but we all saw what happened last Thursday. Whether you watched it live, whether you watched it on the DVR, whether you saw the highlights or the lowlights.
The shit show that was the presidential debate.
Now, you can have your opinion on Donald Trump, and that's fine. But I didn't think there was any debate about who came out of that debate looking terrible.
Yeah.
But I think the Philadelphia Inquirer has gone too far. After what happened last Thursday, the entire editorial board of the Philadelphia Inquirer says Donald Trump should drop out of the race.
Oh my God.
So did they not watch the same debate that we did?
If a newspaper or any rag has Inquirer after it, you cannot take them seriously.
Well, this is Inquirer, not Inquirer.
Same thing.
Yeah. Can I do an aside here for you and I?
Sure.
Now, in the next couple weeks, we're going to be reviewing the new great book from our favorite author, James Lee Burke. The one thing he will talk about and it's not, he doesn't do it a lot, but he'll bring it up a time or two in his books. He will put journalists on the same level as police officers and military people. And that's one of the few
That
things he
drives
does.
me
That's one
nuts.
of the few things he does where I go, no,
No.
no, no, no. And this is an example of that.
Yeah, this is just wow.
I get so tired of celebrities
Stop
acting like
giving
journalists.
opinions and actually just report facts.
Well, let's be fair, this is the editorial board.
But still,
I,
damn you, Ted Turner to hell.
here's another question. So if they're going to give opinions instead of facts, who decides whose opinion we're going to glorify in the pages of said newspaper? Why do we pick and choose? What credentials do you have to have in order to have an opinion
On an
and have it
editorial
published?
board?
Yeah, published in a newspaper. What credentials do you need to have?
I have
I've got
no
an
idea.
opinion. You've got an opinion. Why can't we be on an editorial board? Oh, we don't have a journalism degree?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I got a roll of toilet paper in the other room that's worth as much as a journalism degree is. Sorry to the great James Lee Burke, but that's one of the few things I think he's completely off on, is comparing journalists to the people who watch out for us every day in the military and in the police.
Yeah. Yep. Gone are the days of real journalism.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, now they are all shills for political parties.
Yep.
Right, left, doesn't matter.
Or rich assholes.
All right. Now, you and your wife, I'm sure, have talked about plans for what you're going to do when you guys retire. You probably got like, for example, I always kind of wanted to visit every Major League Baseball park.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun.
Bucket list
Get an
thing.
RV, drive to all the Major League parks, see a game in each one.
Yeah.
You know, to me, that's an interesting, reasonable goal. And right now we go to see all these concerts. We have our little bucket lists where we compare and say we haven't seen this band, let's go see them. Again, reasonable goal as you get later on in life to accomplish, I think.
Right. Things
I don't think
you
they're
want to
crazy.
do early on.
I don't think these goals are crazy.
No, they're not.
I think they're fun.
Which is what you're supposed to do while you can, is have fun.
Well, Dave, I got a problem with this retired couple. Because I think they're wasting their goddamn lives away. And I'm going to say it. Well, everybody else thinks it's a cute, fun story. I will say, you're wasting your goddamn lives. Pick something else as a goal for what you want to do together as a retired couple. Judy and Mike McNamara. And again, I can't believe that everybody's, isn't this wonderful? Isn't this a cute story? Judy and Mike McNamara, their goal, Dave, is to visit every Texas roadhouse in America.
Oh, for the love of God, why?
They have been to, last count a couple weeks ago, they have been to 228, and they've got approximately 270 more to go. And again, I say, can you pick a more relevant goal for your retirement years, for your golden years?
Oh,
I would have more
Lord
respect for them.
mercy.
I would have more respect for them if they were going to every McDonald's, because that would be a hell of a trip. But to go to every chain restaurant franchise outlet for a particular brand?
No. As an aside, one thing my dad and I had talked about wanting to do is to hit the best hot dog stands shops across the country.
But different
Yes,
places.
completely different places.
That's different, though. I know people
Yeah,
who
exactly.
said I want to try
Different.
the best pizza in every major city
Right.
to see which one's
That's
actually
something
truly
different.
better.
It's not the same fucking
You're not
chain.
going to every Pizza Hut in the U.S. You're not going to every Domino's in the U.S.
You're trying something a little bit different. Find out
I'm
what
sorry.
makes it special.
I think
This is lame as hell.
these two are absolute, complete, and total dumbasses.
So bad.
And again, the media goes, "Isn't this a wonderful story?"
No, it's not. It's pathetic.
All right, Dave. I am not up on TikTok crazes or social media crazes,
You're not.
but
You're on social media more than I am.
you know I'm not on it that much. Only on the weekends, only to have some fun and post our stuff. That's it. But I had to look this one up because everybody's making a big deal. Have you heard about the Tuah girl?
The what?
Okay, the Tuah girl. And I was like, you, my friend, a couple days ago. I was like, who and what the hell is a Tuah girl? I did not get into the weeds on this, but I did find out that yes, this is a stupid, dumbass TikTok social media bullshit celebrity. She was in a short video where somehow, and I'm not, this is kind of a paraphrasing of what I've heard about this. Somehow the notion in this little interview, I think it happened outside a baseball stadium. And she's being interviewed, I don't know, by a podcaster, by somebody who runs a website, something. And somehow the story, the idea of oral sex comes up. And so she ends up saying something along the lines of, if it gets dry, you gotta Tuah and spit on that thing.
Wow.
Yes, we're explicit, but again, I'm passing along this story. So this girl who said this in this video, the video goes viral. And again, this explains why our society is falling apart day after day after day. Is she's now a celebrity to the point where the other night.
What, did Pornhub give her a contract?
No, she got to go up on stage and sing as a guest star with Zach Bryan.
Why?
Because she's a viral sensation. And I also think I heard.
Vile sensation?
I also think I heard. I will not verify this. This is just supposition and rumor. I think I also heard that she's actually dating Zach Bryan.
Boy, she must hawk a lot.
Hawk Tuah girl. Will you ever get that image out of your head?
Yes, I will.
All right, our final contestant for the Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week. This one pisses me off. Now, this involves an airline. And we're going to play a little game here. I'm going to have you guess, once I tell you the story, where the airline, what city it's originating from, after I tell you the story, okay?
All right.
So there is a woman with a small child, and she was traveling with her mother, who claims that she was not allowed to board a United flight because as she's trying to get on the flight and she's got this screaming kid on her shoulder and she's got her mom with her, she didn't mean to, and I can sympathize with her. She claims that she was basically told you can't get on this plane because she misgendered the flight attendant. She said something about, "Thank you, sir," when it was actually a woman. The other flight attendants said it was a hate crime.
Oh, for crying out loud.
They told her she could not board and she had to catch a later flight. Now, she's documented this, of course, with like phone videos and things like that. United claims that she had too much baggage, but
Bullshit.
she says it's amazing how the flight before on United let me take the exact same amount of luggage on, but not this one. Because again, she claims she misgendered the flight attendant. And
San Francisco or New York?
I knew you'd get it. I knew you'd get it. San Francisco. She was getting ready to board a flight.
Fucktard universe.
She was getting ready to board a flight from San Francisco to Texas. Now, I have not seen any follow-ups on this. I have not seen United apologize. Like I said, they did get her on a later flight.
It's fucking ridiculous. Hate crime my ass. That's fucking stupid.
This is the world we live in. We talk about this all the time, where 10% of the population seems to be able to dictate the rules for the other 90%.
Hack Tuah.
Oh my God. What a mess.
This country's fucked.
We've got a she flight attendant, and then we're talking about a girl, a viral sensation, talking about spitting on a penis.
This country is so fucked.
So our recap of our 6 contestants for the Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week Award. Judy and Mike McNamara are visiting every Texas roadhouse.
That's just sad.
This woman who claimed she was banned from boarding United flight because of misgendering the flight attendant.
That's just
The Philadelphia Inquirer saying Trump should drop out of the race after that debate last Thursday. The Hawk Tuah girl. The Air Supply biopic. And the 12 employees at Red Rocks who saw a UFO but somehow forgot to record it on their phone.
Oh, God. It's a toss-up. I gotta give it to the fucking morons who think an Air Supply movie is warranted. That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I gotta go with this bullshit from Red Rocks. It drives me crazy.
That's the second borderline.
There is no way in hell they saw a UFO.
And
12
whip
people,
their phones out.
Not one of 12 people thought to pull their phone out and record this. 30 seconds it hovered.
But the waves coming down from the aliens impeded them from making a smart decision to be able to record.
Yeah, everybody's talking about, people in government talking about, oh, they're out there, they're more prevalent than ever, the UFOs. Then why don't we ever get to fucking see them? We get this is like Bigfoot, Sasquatch. We get grainy pictures that don't prove anything.
Where are all these high-def cameras that are now available?
Yeah, we got all these cameras all around the cities that can photograph your license plate if you're going 5 miles over the speed limit and send you a ticket in the mail. But 12, I got to assume, dopeheads working at Red Rocks can't, when they see this big disc in the sky, which they said,
taking the phones and recording,
which they said, by the way, was 3 stories high.
I think they were 3 stories high.
Not one of them pulls out the phone to record the incident.
Well, no, they had to drop their roach.
I mean, that to me is just
ridiculous. Check their cars for shake.
But we're supposed to believe them, because there's 12 of them that said they saw this.
Right.
12 of them saw this, Dave. So there's corroboration.
Uh-huh.
What's the term? Mass hallucination?
Yeah, I told you. Their joint was spiked with LSD.
Yep. All right, kids. There you go. The Air Supply biopic and the 12 idiot moron employees at Red Rocks who claim to have seen a UFO. Those are your dumbasses of the week. And again, next week I will be solo with the new Beverly Hills Cop movie, with the Beekeeper.
And I'll play catch up on my return.
Yep. And I will have a discussion of episode 6 of season 4 of The Boys. Maybe I'll get back into Outer Range, finish that up this coming week. So we
I
shall
may
see.
just have to tell Mrs. C, skip it. I'm watching without you.
That's your call. I can't
I'm
influence
trying to
your-
be the good husband, but it doesn't always work right.
Maybe you just, ask your wife for a little hawk Tuah. That'll go really well. That'll go over really well. And the next thing you know, you'll be out in the backyard building a condo for yourself.
Exactly.
That's your Uncle Dave.
That's your Uncle Kev.
We hope you enjoyed the weekend edition. A little bit scattershot, but we still had a good time.
As always.
Hope you had a safe 4th of July. Have a great weekend. Tonight, July the 6th, don't forget to watch WWE's Money in the Bank.
Oh, there you go.
I'll have my recap of that for you next week as well, kids. And your Uncle Dave's going, thank God I'm off. Thank God I'm off.
Hallelujah. Oh.
I just showed him a 5-minute video of Paul Heyman getting thrown through a table. So
this is what I have to deal with.
Say goodnight to the kids, Dave.
Good night to the kids, Dave.